Hello, YouTube! Welcome again to another episode of Voicing Artists' Original Characters. Today, we are working with a couple of characters, all from sort of the same universe, but definitely from the same artist. Our artist today, their name is Daniela Uhlig, pronoun she, her. And the characters that we're going to be working with are from what's called a color wheel challenge. So we are going to be voicing the color red, the color blue, and the color yellow. We're going to play with all three of them and incorporate them into our different emotions for this episode. Now, because this was a challenge where you're sort of supposed to use the colors of the wheel as the color palette for the character and inspiration for the characters themselves, there is no universe or history or background or even names for these characters because they were created for this challenge versus being something that is thought through as an OC with context and history. So we're going to get to fully play and do whatever we want to do today. Whatever we feel is helpful and fun, we're going to do. All right, so the first one you see up on your screen here is the character for the color red. Now, this is interesting to me because I really love the sort of combining palette of the bright red hair, and I guess it's sort of a little darker, but it feels very bright with the background. And, you know, she's got this very flush red on her cheeks and her nose and her ears, and she's got a red lip, and she's got the red lining in her shirt. But then the other color that's put with her is this very soft, pale blue. So it's direct in her eyes, and her eyes are very wide, so you can see the color right away. And it's more prominent on her shirt than the actual red that's part of the color palette. So I think this is a very good balance of colors in general. And I like to talk about colors a lot when it comes to working with characters, and especially doing this series with voices. So this is kind of like heaven to be doing characters that are literally based on color palettes. So we have red here, and then we have blue. So this is an interesting shade of blue. It's kind of it's not as bright and poppy as this red is. Now this red isn't fire truck red, right? This red is more solid and a bit more deep than a fire truck red. It's not blazing, it's not in your eyes. And the blue is also not a bright royal blue. Instead, it's sort of like almost a oceany / you could argue greeny type of blue, where it's kind of quieter, it's a little more muted. I love that the tips of her hair kind of start to blend in with the blue colors in the background and in the shading. Love that. And then I actually like how she mirrors the red one, where she has blue eyes that fit with these, but she's got a little bit of pinkish red on her nose and her cheeks, and her lips are very pink. So that sort of is mirroring how the red character had those blue pops, the blue character has these red pops. And I think she's probably gonna be our sad one. And you might be thinking, well, shouldn't she be the angry one? Because she's got a pretty stern look on her face right now. She might end up being the angry one, but I think we have a character that fits better for our angry emotion. And to me, her face gives pouty, and to me, pouty is sad. But we'll keep going. The last one that we're going to voice, the part of this group, we're going to do yellow. So yellow down here on the bottom has this gorgeous blonde curls that are happening in her hair, and her eyes are kind of like a hazel green with a little bit of a yellow tint. She's also got these blush marks, but it's a much softer and smoother, sort of glossier pink color that sort of tunes into her skin, and her skin is a bit more peach. Versus some of the other ones, which were, because of the shading, look a bit more flat. Hers looks much brighter in terms of the color palette because of how bright yellow is. And I actually really love this like lime green sweater that she's got for her shirt here that's going on. Now you'll see the other colors as well. We have orange here. Orange is very interesting because the hair almost kind of mimics red, but it's more of a natural sort of orange color. The eyes are also this dark, almost red as well. And then if we put these two on, you will see that purple up here in the corner is our only sort of more male presenting character. And he's got this beautiful mix of like gray and purple and black, and just it kind of gives very, very grayish purple. It's like not quite Professor Plum, right? Because Plum is a deep, dark, rich purple. This is like fadey and charcoaly and that kind of territory. And I love how that mixes in with his hair. Now his eyes are brown because it's more of a natural look, but it's almost like with the shading too, you can almost kind of feel this purple gray into his jacket and stuff. And then if we go down here to what I believe is like an indigo-ish color, you can see that it sits beautiful with her skin for one, but it kind of parallels in her lips because her lips are almost have this like little purple tint here. And so that color is coming through in here. It's of course on her shirt down here. And then it's almost a little bit in her hair as well, where there's just a light little purple tint coming on the highlights of these edges here. And I think she's got a little eyeshadow that matches that as well. And I love how this stands out. So these are all beautiful characters in this color wheel. We are going to work this with the three that I mentioned earlier. And so if we take yellow, we take blue, we take red, and we want to maybe assign them to the specific emotions that we have. Because in this series, we work with 3 specific emotions. We work with happy, angry, and sad. Now, we twist and contort and meld together and merge these emotions to mean more than just that. And sometimes they blend and sometimes they melt and all sorts of things. So we can absolutely do that. And we don't have to separate it into 3 simply because we have 3 characters to work with. We can bring them into whatever we want. We can merge them together, however it goes. We could even use the same voice for all 3, but I do think I'm going to change it up for each one of the characters just to make it more distinct for my folks who are watching this video and for anyone who is maybe listening instead of seeing visuals. So, if we look at red here, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that the red character has to be our happy. And I know that looking at her face, I don't know that to most people, even to myself, that I would necessarily classify that as a happy expression. What I will say is she has an expression that I think is a little bit of an enigma. I think it's hard to place. She's got lovely wide eyes. She has not quite a smile, not quite a grimace, but a very tight mouth. And her eyebrows are very high. So it's almost a look of like, what? Or excuse me? And I think you can put any sort of emotions, whether negative or positive, inside of that look. But I just love this energy in a way that it's almost like a weird neutral state of it could be anything, that I kind of want to mold it into happy. I want to mold it almost into like an ecstatic, crazy happy. So red is going to be our happy. And if we go to blue, this I think is going to become our pouty, grumpy, sad, because that's just how this facial structure gives me. Her eyebrows are kind of curling in. Her eyes are like looking up to the side as if she's like, what do you can't speak here. You don't get a choice. You don't get a voice. Shut up, you know? And her mouth has a little bit of like a scrunchy, upset grumble to it where it's like, type of energy, and her nose is a little scrunched. So I think she's going to end up pouty/sad category. She might go into angry though. We'll see. And then of course, yellow. So yellow, I think, will be our angry character. And I say this because to me, this is a pissed off expression. And I know maybe everyone doesn't agree with me, but her eyebrows are in this position of like, you said what? I'm sorry, bitch, what? Like, that is what the energy gives me. And her eyes are not like wide. They're not open like the first girl. They're not looking off to the side like the second girl. They are kind of almost like almost like squinting in to where it's like pinpointing and they're narrowing to like the target of whoever just said that, as if she just whipped her head of curls around like, what did you just say? And that's the energy I get here. And she's got not quite an angry face with the lips, but her lips do seem a little bit like resting bitch face, where maybe she's not meaning to put on this like very flat monotone like expression, but she is, so it comes across a little bitchy. So I think I kind of want to have her be anger. But let's go back to red, since we will start there. And let me read you some notes that I have. So I have, for red in particular, I have combustible. I really like that word for red. And I like that word for red because I see combustible for her as an explosive personality. She is untamed, she is eager, and she's ready to just do everything and anything. And she's kind of hyperactive and all over the place 24/7 in like a bit of a forceful way. Not like a, ooh, yay, let's do all the things, hee 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 hee, but like a, all right, give it to me, I'll do it. Like very, very strong and grounded and powerful, just combustible. I really like that energy for her, and I think it'll play into our happy very well. I would also say self-willed, proud, independent, and a free thinker. So all of these describe the idea that she is not going to be told how she should do something, why she should do something, that she shouldn't do something. She, with this huge wide expression, gives me the energy of, no, I think I'll do whatever the hell I want. In a positive way versus like a I'm gonna beat you up way. But I really like that she has sort of this, strong, free-thinking energy where she's not trying to like trample anybody. She's not trying to step over other people's opinions or thoughts. It's just that she knows what she wants to do and she's going to do it. That's the end of the conversation. So she's not angry, she's not mean, despite how we associate red oftentimes with anger or with blood or with violence. I don't want to do that here. I want to pull away from that stereotype and just use red to mean passion. And in this case, we're going to push that passion from the color red into something positive and ecstatic and happy. So vibrant and powerful in a good way. That is going to be our red. So let's switch over to blue here. So here's what I have for blue. I have spiky, first and foremost, because look at the ends of her hair going fing, 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 fing. They're little, sharp little blades, like sharp little blades of grass. They're coming out every which way and are about to poke you in the eyeball. And I think we need to translate that into her personality. I really, really do. Because I think there's something to be said for those characters who are naturally like a porcupine, and they're very prickly, and like you want to make sure that you're not poking the wrong place or you're going to get a spine into your hand. And the way that they talk and the way that they interact with different emotions will be really good for us to play with. So I also have whiny, and I have that she may be a little bit of a brat, little arrogant and uptight, versus Red, who was a spontaneous nature of being. She was very all over the place. She was very confident and excitable. I think Blue is a bit more uptight. She's a bit more strict. She's a bit more, why would you think like that? Stop doing that. You look stupid, right? She's more controlling. And I like to think she's a little whiny and she's a little bratty about it, because this pouty attitude comes with the idea of like, stop, and that kind of noise and physicality when you're talking about a person who is a bit pouty, a bit gloomy, a bit arrogant, a bit whiny, etc., etc. And with this facial expression and the way she's looking up at somebody to be like, knock it off, that's what it gives me. I also have assertive and dominating personality, which is interesting because we are going to play more with her being sad here, which may take away a little bit of that dominating personality, but she does come off very assertive to me because in this drawing, she's not just like angry or pouting or whatever. She's specifically looking up towards someone and is upset with them. For someone to have the authority or the mindset that they are going to be upset with somebody else fucking around and doing things that they can't control and they have no right to control, you tend to be a little bit controlling. You tend to be a little bit assertive, and you tend to want things your way. And so I think that comes across in the way that she is looking in this drawing. The last thing I sort of have here is snippy, of course, because she's probably quick about it, talks in maybe almost a condescending way to other people, and striking. And when I say striking, I don't necessarily mean in her appearance. Now, she looks fine. It's a gorgeously drawn character. All of the characters are. But I don't mean in the way that she looks. I don't even necessarily mean in the energy that she brings. Although, I could see it being present there depending on how we voice her. What I mean for striking is that she hits you very hard in the inflection and the tone of her voice. I think that this is the type of character that where her needles are, these spikes that I talked about at the beginning of talking about her, are in her voice. I think she's very pokey and very striking and very boop, 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 with the sound of her voice, the inflection of her voice, the tone of her voice, who she chooses to point at, the words she chooses to emphasize. That's where I think this spiky nature is. That's where I think she's striking people. So we're going to try and focus that into our sad and into our sort of angry sadness that she's going to become, and use that when we record that line. So let's switch to yellow. So, yellow here, I see as the angry one. Let me give you some things that I see with her drawing in particular. First and foremost, I see passionate. Now that comes a little bit back to red because red gives off a very passionate, a very forceful sort of energy. But I wouldn't put her passionate in the forceful territory. I would put her passionate more in a subtle manner. I think her passionate is a bit more like perfectionism. It's a bit more like wanting and needing everything that she wants to be hers at all times, to go the right way. A little bit of Blue's arrogance, maybe, is in her version of it. I also have dramatic, and I actually do have heartfelt. And here's the thing, right? We're going to be playing with her for this angry emotion, but that doesn't mean that in a natural state of being, she wouldn't be a heartfelt person. Doesn't mean that, Blue is always arrogant or red is always combustible. It just means that that's kind of the way we're playing with them today. So I think in a normal scenario where she's not a little pissy, that she would be very heartfelt. And even when she's pissy, I think she's still heartfelt. Because you can come from a place of pure emotion, of pure heart, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're happy, etc., etc. Heartfelt doesn't just apply in positive scenarios. So I still think it's appropriate here. And I also think she's animated in her voice, in her personality, in her face itself. Her face gives me the most cartoon vibes because of how sort of like peppy it is. And in peppy, I don't mean happy, I just mean maybe perky is a better word. But every bit of her facial structure and her colors in her face, you see every piece of it rather than pointing out something specific like how we pointed out the eyes with red, right? You just kind of take in the whole thing as this beautiful sort of like animated face. And I think we can put that into her personality as well. It'll go a little bit with dramatic and how she's probably a little over the top, a little bit more energy and effort and things into concepts and to when things go wrong than she needs to be. We can put that into her voice and into our lines. I would also say she might be a little snappy versus Blue's snippy. So, for example, Blue being snippy is a bit more like the striking that we were talking about, where it's like bing, 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 with her lines, with her words, with her daggers that are in her eyes when she stares at people. Yellow's snappiness is a bit more like biting at something. So it's a bit more like if someone says something to you, then you snap right back, right? Versus doing the poking and the prodding and the thingies, you're sort of like badang, almost like a little rubber band or a boomerang. They're different words in my head. They have different meanings and different connotations with the characters. We'll see if we can embody it a little bit. And then the last things I have for Yellow are bold and plucky. Plucky, I was saying about her face, plucky, perky, it's all in there. I think it's in the rest of her as well. I think her whole body is animated. And I also think she's bold. I think she's bold in the way that she doesn't take no for an answer. And she is not afraid to stand up and be like, sit back down. I don't care. Like, I run this place, go away. Sort of almost Regina style of like Mean Girls. I could see that. Okay, so this is what we think for red, blue, and yellow. So let us put red back on the screen and we will do some happy emotions. Okay, so what do we want to do for red's happiness? I think I want to go a little bit of maybe like tomboyish, where it's a little low, it's a little scratchy, it's a little loud. We'll see if that ends up just being my natural voice or if we put on a voice. But I think I have an idea for a scenario, so let's give it a shot.
I'll do it. No, of course I'm not kidding. Well, no, of course I'm not afraid. What, you're afraid? Are you kidding me? Listen, we're all gonna die one day. I would rather die bungee jumping off a cliff than walking down the street and having a heart attack with a Starbucks in my hand, Karen. Okay? Now give me the bungee jumping tickets, because that sounds like a shit ton of fun. And I am on this world for fun. So give me the tickets, Karen.
Wait, I love that. Oh my god. I love her energy. It's so like bam, 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 bam. And it doesn't slow down at any point in time. Oh my god, that's excellent. I love that for her. I actually really like that for her. I want to do a quick thing of like her jumping off the cliff when she's bungee jumping and giving like a wahoo because she feels like a wahoo. So let's give that a second. Here we go. I'm gonna step back a little so hopefully we don't peek.
Hell yeah, I'm ready to go. Woo, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Let's go! Woo!
Oh my god, I love her. She's everything I aspire to be. Is just consistently ready to do everything and anything. Oh my goodness. Like, I can picture her giving this monologue of being like, what's on my bucket list? Easy. I want to swim with sharks. I want to jump off a cliff. I want to dive out of an airplane. Don't you have things like that on your bucket list? What's your bucket list? I bet it's all boring things. Oh my goodness, I love this. I just want to voice her now. That's it. She needs to be in a show. I need to voice her. That's the end of this conversation. Oh my goodness. Well, I like those for red. I think we'll keep those in. I like those a lot. Let's go on to yellow. All right, so yellow's gonna be our angry. I want to mean girl-ify her. So I think I'm gonna bring her pitch up. I'm gonna make her a little bit snotty. I'm gonna get that passion in there though. Like she's on the drama team. She's in the plays, getting the leading roles. You know what? Maybe we're gonna Sharpayify her, actually. Let's do that reference. So what are we gonna do that makes her like significantly angry? Ooh, I got an idea. The Sharpay thing gave me an idea. Okay. Here we go.
Listen here, Brad. I don't give a single fuck who you think you are. This is my domain. I have been the lead in the school's play for 3 years straight. And I will be the lead for the 4th year. And I don't appreciate you coming in here and acting like you're some big deal. Nobody knows who you are. And nobody ever will, as long as I have something to say about it. So sit your ass down. Okay?
Oh, these are fun ones today. I love and playing with these. These are fun. She's got, Mean Girl characters are so much fun because of the attitude that comes with doing these lines. And you also have to put a lot of passion into a Mean Girl. Otherwise, they end up very soulless and cold-hearted. And I don't think that works for a Mean Girl. I think Mean Girls have to be Mean Girls have to be passionate about whatever they think is right or just or they're fighting for. Because they're the villain, sure, but the villain has to have a good reason for doing what he's doing. And so I love putting her as a Mean Girl who's like passionate about the fact that she is the drama person. Don't appreciate you coming in here and pretending like you're amazing at drama and making a fool of everyone here. Sit down. I love that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that means we have one left to play with for sadness. And that's our little blue girl. So we're definitely going to do more of a angry sad, where she's kind of grumpy about it rather than just fully upset, just because this facial expression is so grumpy. So that's what we're going to do for sure. And I think I want to kind of give her almost like a smooshy voice to go with the curled upness of her face. So I think I want to go a little low. Maybe there's a bit of a gravel, maybe not. We'll see what naturally comes into play. And I do want to try and make her a little whiny, but without going into nasal. Because the Mean Girl kind of has a bit of a nasal on her, so I want to avoid it being that same voice. So we're going to see if we can take maybe a bit of the Mean Girl features and bring them low and nice and down to the ground and give that to Blue, and hopefully that'll make her a bit more rounded and feel a bit different. Kind of as if we're adding angst. We're kind of taking our Mean Girl and we're giving her a set of angst and self-doubt. If you added insecurity to a Mean Girl, I think you would get Blue. So I think we go from that yellow to blue by adding a little bit of insecurity, a little bit of doubt, and that's why she's a bit like pushy and grumpy about it, is because she does doubt herself, but nobody else is allowed to doubt her, right? And then, of course, you flip all those things on your head and you get red, where we started. But we're gonna play with Blue, so what could make her a little bit angry sad? I have an idea. I think we're gonna go a little like business-y and or project-y for this, like Teams Project, because I have a bit of an idea, so let's try this.
Ugh. I'm fine. It's just, he put me in charge of all of you, of this project, and I want to do a good job, and it just feels like I'm doomed. No one will listen to a word I have to say, and it's frustrating and devastating. I am never gonna be able to get that promotion like this. I might as well just give up on it. Nobody seems to care. Nobody but me. Whatever.
Yeah, I think it gives a bit more clarity to where her headspace would be at and why she's sort of both angry and sad at the same time, because it's like, I need you guys to do well in order to get where I want to go, but I can't necessarily do anything about it because no one will listen to me, and so I'm sad that I've just kind of given up the idea that I'm going to get any sort of promotion or any sort of recognition, and that's where the sadness comes in. I like that. I do kind of like that. I also like where the voice went, because I definitely wanted to give all three of these distinctive voices. I wanted Red's to be loud. I wanted it to reflect the fact that she is no thoughts in her brain, just, what do you mean? Why would you be scared? Why wouldn't you do it? Just do the thing. I'll do the thing. Come on, let's go. Right? Just, she's all about that. And so I wanted her voice to be very pressurized. I wanted it to be constantly banging on the walls type of loud. She's not screaming, but you can never miss her presence. It's always there. And when she talks, it's a little bit more scratchy, it's a little bit lower, because she's doing the same thing with her voice. She's forcing the voice the same way. She's sort of like a forceful personality. And then with Yellow, we went a little bit higher, a little bit nasalier. We gave her a bit of like a when she talked, almost like a cat, because cats have this dramatic, sort of passionate arrogance about them, and I think that worked for Yellow really well, and it delved into the voice with how she could talk in sort of this manner where everything, even her voice, is above other people. Like, her voice is a little higher, is a little nasally, which not a lot of people speak up there. So it's not just her being like, this is my place, this is my thing, get out, I am better than you. Also, the voice is reflecting that too. And then Blue we brought down because of this sort of smallness of being, where you don't see yourself as powerful and as strong as Yellow does. You see yourself as minuscule and small and not worthy. And so your voice and your temperament sort of reflect that, where your voice is lower placed and it's a bit softer and it's a bit more grumbly. And there's still a bit of angst in there, because she still wants to be controlling and still wants to be in charge and doesn't want all this funny business, but she doesn't have the confidence in her own abilities that Yellow does. And so as her confidence goes low, so does the voice with it. And I think that's really cool to see that reflected in all three of these, and sort of push back with the dialogue and the way that we were doing them as well. All right, my friends. That is today's episode of Voicing Artists Original Characters. You can follow the artist on Instagram. Again, her name is Daniela Uhlig. So here she is. This is Daniela Uhlig. She's got more gorgeous character art here. You can see the color wheel one here. And she did add, it looks like 2 more colors to the wheel. So definitely go look at it. Check out the new characters and some of her other art here. She's got beautiful ones. And give her a follow. Thank you, Daniela, for letting us use your character today. I really appreciate it. They're very cool, and it was fun to play with multiple at once. And that'll be the end of this. So, for my folks that are watching this YouTube video and enjoyed this journey with me, I will see you next Monday when the future episode releases for Voicing Artists Original Characters. And you can always join me live recording episodes of this series on YouTube and Twitch. Also on Mondays, just later at night. All right, goodbye!